Bounce it. Bounce it.
Yes, I did sit down and watch this podcast. I did. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know if I'm gonna show clips in this video because overall, the podcast was a fucking train wreck. Half of it was boring. The other half of it just didn't make sense. The other half of it is a waste of our time. And just, what was the fucking point? That's what I got from this. Like, after I watched this shit, I was like, what was the fucking point of this? So if I don't show clips, please don't be in the comments complaining, because a lot of this podcast was them staring at each other like each of them had 3 heads. It was a lot of silence. And then when we did get an answer from the one person who should actually be fucking talking, it was nonsense. If you want to watch the podcast, I will link it in my bio so you can watch it yourself. But I'm just going to talk about what I was getting from this podcast. So something about Ned that I learned early on is that he is very good at manipulating any situation or flipping a situation to make you as the viewer and consumer feel bad for him in some way, shape, or form. Like when the whole cheating thing came out, he released a statement and it was kind of like a pitiful fucking statement. So first, the Try Guys on their account posted this statement saying, Ned Fulmer is no longer working with the Try Guys. As a result of a thorough internal review, we do not see a path forward together. We thank you for your support as we navigate this change. This is a statement that came from the Try Guys, meaning Eugene, Zach, and Keith. Then at the same fucking time, literally like maybe 5 minutes after the Try Guys posted that, Ned posted this statement saying, family should have always been my priority, but I lost focus and had a consensual workplace relationship. I'm sorry for any pain that my actions may have caused to the guys and fans, but most of all to Ariel. The only thing that matters right now is my marriage and children, and that's where I'm going to focus my attention. Sad music needed, because that's exactly how this statement felt. Because he wants you to have some level of sympathy for him. Like, damn, I fucked up, y'all. I have to fight for my family. Please give me a second. So everybody could be like, oh, Ned. Yeah, man, I'm glad that you took accountability. Get your wife back. Bitch, no. And to double down on the manipulation, Zach and Keith on the tripod said like, yo, we was actually pissed he even posted this, because why would you post this right after we make a statement? You making it seem like we all friends and we all buddy friends and pals and we trying to help you through this. No, we're angry with you. We're not fucking with you right now. Don't sit here and try to paint it like it's all good in the hood. No. Ned somehow had to make it seem like everything was good when in reality, everything was bad. So now, seeing this podcast, I'm getting glimpses of that same fucking energy from Ned. Just the beginning part of the fucking podcast. We didn't even get to the podcast. This man is sitting in a kitchen looking at us with these sad faces like he's been crying for 40 days and 40 fucking nights, like he didn't cheat 3 years ago, right? Just the opening monologue let me know what the course of this podcast was going to show.
This is a conversation with Ariel in this video. It's painful at times. It's honest, vulnerable, brutal. But it's necessary for her to move forward, and I'm grateful for the chance to witness it. Yeah.
So I sped it up a little bit because he's taking a very long time to get to the point. And yes, I darkened it. You know, I just don't be fucking around with YouTube shit. You know, I understand this is fair use. I'm giving commentary. This is my right to do. But, you know, I'm still going to kind of protect myself a little bit more. But just him saying that, my radar went off talking about this was necessary for Ariel. How is this necessary for Ariel, Nedward? Because as far as I see it, she didn't have to come on this podcast and talk about this. She has nothing to answer for. You have a lot to answer for. You have a lot of details to fill in for us. You have a lot to tell us. She don't got to do shit. She ain't do shit to you besides be your wife and support you loudly. So how is this necessary for Ariel? This is necessary for you to pick out whatever the fuck you want to do and try to get your feet wet in this creator space again and build a career. Ariel Wood is going to be fine regardless. You understand why, Ned? You know why, Ned? You cheated. And one thing about it, women are always going to have the back of the woman who got cheated on. Ariel could have started a whole new project and she would have been supported and taken care of through and through. She don't need you. However, it is very evident that you brought her onto this podcast because you needed her to rebuild you back up. You based your entire character off of the back of you being a husband. You built your entire Try Guys character off of the back of your wife. So this was necessary for you, not her. And I feel like as a Yale graduate, you would understand that. But you also, as a Yale graduate, are smart enough to try and manipulate and flip the whole thing. You're not getting past me, sir. I see right through this. Because do you think people would be listening to you if you didn't have your wife on this podcast? You know they wouldn't. And this is your first episode too. That is crazy. So trying to frame this any other way other than this was necessary for me to do to get you guys to pay attention to me, you're not being genuine. So now I'm just going to skip to important parts of this freaking video/podcast because that's really what I want to talk about. That's genuinely what I want to talk about. So this was a minor detail, but I paid attention to the fact that he's sitting in this chair and then that other chair is kind of remnant of like a therapist chair. Like, you know, when you see skits of people doing therapy and they're laying there on that couch, this is what I'm seeing here. Like, this is supposed to be a therapy session for Ariel when to me, she doesn't need therapy. Like, yes, granted, she probably had to do therapy to get through the hurt, the pain, the embarrassment, all sort of stuff. But why are we on this podcast talking to her about how she feels about your cheating? And that's also another detail I want to add on top of this. He rarely said anything about his cheating. He called it a scandal. Like, no, you cheated. Say it for what it is. More proof to show that he does not want to take the brunt of what he's supposed to get. You cheated. Own it. You did it. Trying to soften it with any other word than what it is a little insane. And it makes me look at you a little bit weird. Weird as in like your intentions behind this podcast is not genuine. Because I'm catching these little pockets of where you're not taking accountability, which is what I thought the point of this podcast was supposed to be. I thought the goal was for you to address the shit head on. For whatever reason, bring your wife on so y'all both can talk about it and you handle it. You apologize to her. You take accountability. You give the details. You give the thought process and, you know, you move forward. But that's not what I'm seeing here. Instead, I'm watching you paint this as like this is going to be for Ariel only. And now she's sitting in this chair as if she needs a therapy session from you. You're not calling it cheating. You're saying it's a scandal. Like there's just things here that is letting me know your intentions behind this is not genuine. So now off rip, as we start this podcast, I'm automatically drawn to the body language of Ariel. I'm looking at them have this beginning part of the conversation and it's like, well, here we are. I guess we're going to talk about it. Like she looks uncomfortable. And as like they're doing the opening awkward dialogue, you know, Ariel kind of throws in like really quickly that they've been doing like therapy and whatever, which now heightens my feeling of that she doesn't want to be there. And she's even said like the idea of people actually watching this makes her want to get up and leave. So just like I was feeling, she doesn't want to be there. She's probably really only doing this because from all the therapy session, the therapist was probably telling her and him, like, you two should still find a way to support each other because you are still family at the end of the day. You're not divorced. You're still married. You have to co-parent. Be friendly. Be cordial because your kids will see that and it will work in the long run. And that's the only reason Ariel is doing this. But on the deep end, she don't want to do none of this shit. She don't even want to be connected to Ned if we really have to be honest. The next thing I noticed was when they actually start diving into the conversation, they talk about what it's like being dark after that situation popped off and interacting with people in the outside world. Ariel said, like, listen, it's been a while since we've said anything, since we've been public, like, people still think that we're, like, still in 2020. And it's also very weird because, like, the only thing that I could think about doing in that moment was going dark, being silent on my social media. Now it's so weird because, like, I want to go interact, maybe make friends, but then there's this thing where it's like, hey, you know, it's nice to meet you. Please understand I'm going through this. This is public about me and this. But at the end of the day, do you still want to be friends?
I am a human who has needs. Like, I want to have regular friends, and I don't want to like walk up to somebody that I want to be friends with at like preschool and have to start every conversation with like, my personal life is a dumpster fire, as I'm sure you know, but also, do you want to be friends with me? You know, like, I'm not gonna lie, I have some really authentic friendships that have started that way. But like, I don't want to go about my life starting friendships like that.
Yeah, you kind of want the new friends to know the context of like who you currently are.
Yes, exactly.
I remember I've met some people, like made new friends or kind of introduced myself to strangers. It's like, oh, let's like exchange Instagrams. I'm like, well,
right?
Here's mine, but a couple of caveats. One, I have a lot more followers than you might expect. Two, all of this is pretty outdated. And three, don't Google me.
Don't Google me. You
Just
probably don't want
get
to know
me first.
This particular part stood out to me because I feel like their reasoning for being weird about human interactions are coming from two polar opposite sides of the spectrum. Like, for Ariel, her nervousness and wanting to interact with people after that whole thing comes off the back end of being embarrassed. Like, she was married to a well-known public figure who made his entire life about you. Like, your husband made his entire character on his platform about my wife. That was his thing. And then you're also being featured. You're loudly supporting him. You're loudly loving him. You documented having children with him. You really were showing this world like this perfect marriage that everybody thought you had. And then this man publicly embarrassed you. He cheated on you. He destroyed your vows, broke up the family, fucked up the business, and regardless on if you did anything or not, she is a female. And you know what happens with females? Some way, somehow, it turns and flips back on her. So her nervousness about interacting with other people comes off the back end of her being embarrassed that her life crumbled so publicly because her husband cheated on her. She doesn't want to be labeled as, oh yeah, ain't you the wife of the dude who cheated with his employee? Like, she doesn't want to deal with that. Whereas, like, I'm listening to Ned speak, and he's talking about interacting with other people. I don't even necessarily get the feeling that, like, he's coming from a space of, like, oh, I'm embarrassed and I don't want to meet people because I don't want them to label me as a cheater. I think the level of, like, quote unquote embarrassment that he feels is, now I just have a bad reputation and people are going to look at me like a bad person and all sorts of stuff. It's not necessarily him being embarrassed about the cheating. He's embarrassed that his whole fucking reputation was fucking ruined. So as I'm listening to both of them speak, I'm watching two people who were a part of the same situation that have to navigate life differently because it's different outcomes from both of them. Like, to me, when Ned is talking about, oh yeah, you know, you might want to get to know him before you see all the stuff on the internet, that's in relation to his reputation, because he obviously wants to come back and do a level of content creation and make businesses and brands and stuff like this. So he's concerned about his reputation. Her level of getting to know someone and be like, hey, you know, what you're going to Google is going to be crazy, is because she was a wife. And it's like, I got cheated on and I don't want you to sit here and be friends with me off of sympathy. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. And once again, just even listening to Ned speak, I'm not connecting with this feeling of he feels really bad that he cheated. I'm connecting with this feeling of I feel really bad I got caught. That's what I feel. Whereas I look at Ariel and I'm seeing someone who's hiding it. She's not a woman. I don't get the sense that Ariel's the woman who's going to be outside in public and be crying and wearing her emotions on her sleeve. I get the sense that Ariel is the kind of woman who is like, she can be pissed, she can be sad, she can be going through something. But when she walks outside, she's going to put a smile on her face, be a professional, be open, and be friendly. But as she's sitting here, I can see the uncomfortability of sharing this space with him and having to talk about her trauma and the pain she had to endure because of him. And the fact that she's even helping him, I feel like that's irking her nerves even more. So now we get to the part where they start addressing whether they are together or not. And I feel like this moment is probably one of the most important parts of this podcast, because now we can see and hear how each person feels in this situation. Because like I said, Ariel don't come across as someone that would typically wear her emotions on her sleeve, especially in a public setting, podcast, business, whatever. But in this moment, I feel like I saw where she was genuinely at in her mind and how she felt about Ned. And then you could also see Ned showing how he truly feels in this moment.
But it's like the way that everyone wants to know, like, are you guys still like an item? Are you guys still a couple? Like, no.
And that look he gave her when he confirmed that they are not together, that was the face of someone who wants his wife back, but also knows that's something that's probably more than likely not attainable. Do I think that hurts him? Yes. However, as we get further into this interview and we listen to the things that he's saying, there's a disconnect. There's some level of a disconnect with what he's saying and what he's showing. But I do genuinely think it hurt him in that moment to say, we are not together anymore. There is no marriage. There is no happy this. There ain't no my wife. There's no more of that. That's cooked. And then when Ariel responds, this is where I feel like I saw a lot from Ariel without her doing too much or saying too much.
No, like, people ask me, like, do you forgive Ned for what he did? And I mean, the answer is no, absolutely not. How can you forgive somebody for lying to you, for cheating on you? No, fuck no. I don't even, it's, sorry, I saw red for a minute. It's like, no, the answer is no. But
this part was so important to me because this really shows where her mind and her heart is at with all of this. Even after 3 years, the fact that even when she talks about this, it's invoking anger in her lets you know she's fed the fuck up. Which goes back all the way back to my first point of how they first opened and it was awkward. And I was saying it gives the energy of like, I really don't want to fucking be here, but here we are. I feel like this is just more confirmation. Like, she's feeling awkward and she's, you know, looking like she's saying she's ready to go because realistically, why am I here helping you? You fucked all of this up. You embarrassed me. You ripped our family apart, but somehow I'm here to save you and make you look good again. Fucking ridiculous. And I actually applaud Ariel for having that moment of being vulnerable because it gave a lot of insight to how bad this actually hurt her. And I'm double proud of her because she let it be known we haven't been together for 3 years. This is a woman that stood on business. She said, no, I'm not forgiving you. Ain't none of that happening. You cheated. How can I forgive you? You ripped our marriage apart, our family. No, I don't forgive you, and I have no plans on getting back with you. W. Ariel, she stood on business. Whereas with Ned talking about this relationship, he was saying like, yeah, there's been aspects where we tried to make it work, but I feel like she wasn't trying to make it work. If she's still this angry about it, where she's seeing red talking about it, there was no point in her mind that she thought about actually getting back with you. She knew it was cooked. But once again, it's always on the woman to try and keep the home together and keep it happy and keep it cute, whatever else. I think she's already mentally been checked out the moment it was revealed that she was cheating on her with an employee. But Ned has tried to do little things to try and make her fall in love with him again, and it's just not working out. His response felt like, I hope we have a moment we can get back together. Her response gave, no, because I don't fucking forgive you. So try again. Matter of fact, don't even try again. Fuck you. Even after she shares these emotions, she follows up after that and says, we were together for a very long time, and you are the father of my 2 beautiful children. To which, once again, this makes me feel like she's literally only participating in this because of therapy, because they told her this is something that maybe y'all both should do. Be positive with each other, so that way no one can sit here and say y'all are having this nasty fight, or y'all doing this and y'all doing that, and it's a reflection on your kids and all this other stuff. She's really trying to hold it together. Which also brings me to, I really just feel like Ned is doing this podcast for his own personal self-gain, even though he's trying to paint it as, well, Ariel needed this. Ariel didn't need this. And as far as I see it right now, what Ariel is doing is once again trying to keep the peace within your quote unquote household. And when I say household, I mean between you and the kids. So that way none of this energy goes back to the kids. She's doing this from a caring perspective. He's doing this from a selfish perspective. And that's just the energy I get. Like, I genuinely give Ariel more credit for Ned having this persona and having the good looks. I kind of solely give full credit to her, because would Ned have been this likable guy if he didn't have Ariel, the wife, backing him up? Would Ned have really been a factor in the Try Guys if she wasn't actively being a part of his persona? Like, when you get to know him, Ariel's there making sure he still looks good. Like, she's always had his back. Like, if you really think about it, Ned was only the wife guy because of Ariel. And then she's there, she's helping them, she's giving cooking stuff, she's also connecting with the other Try Guys, partners, girlfriend, boyfriends, you know, she's being an active participant to make sure Ned looks his best. And even in this podcast, even after she says she's red hot about this, she's still trying to shed, you know, a little bit of sympathy on him, saying, you know, even just apart from all that, we've worked through a lot of stuff. We're at a place now where we can be cordial. Like, she's still kind of giving him this grain to make him look good. Whereas, like, I listen to Ned and he's still giving himself crumbs to make himself look like a bad, like, oh, give me sympathy. Look, we're working through it. Give me sympathy. Like, this is just adding on to the layers of my ideology that he's not coming from a genuine place with this podcast. He's trying to paint this as this was for Ariel. For Ariel, she needs it. But realistically, this is really just for him. This is just for him. Ariel was going to be fine regardless. So now we're getting to the thick of it, because now they're talking about the moment that Ariel found out. And she says, I remember getting a picture of you in New York, and she didn't directly say Alex, but she alludes to seeing Alex in the photo with Ned. And she said, I actually thought it was your sister. She said she found out about Ned's cheating from the fans. And the face that she kind of made was kind of like, yeah, you got caught because your fans told me. It wasn't even you, but your fans outed you. And so as she's talking through the emotions and finding out and what she was thinking at that moment, you can see on her face the different levels of like emotions and thought process that she's doing. It goes from kind of laughing like, wow, you thought she was so fucking, like, you thought she was so smart, like, you really thought she was going to get away with this, to, wow, I can't believe I really didn't, like, automatically see that he was cheating on me, to, how did I not see it, to, like, wow, I was dumb. Like, these are the 4 emotions and thought process that I'm getting from looking at 4 of these photos as she's talking about what she's thinking about at the time. How did I not see that she was cheating on me? The cheating was right in my face, and I automatically gave you the benefit of the doubt and said that was your sister. What was I going through at that moment where I just couldn't accept the fact that you was doing dirt behind my back? And she's talking about it, and she's like, more and more pictures started coming in, and just at that point, I had to come to terms with the fact that, wow, my husband is cheating on me. But once again, she tries to give Ned a little crumb of some humility, because it went from, how did I not see that she was cheating on me, to then turning it into, you know what I realized from this? Everyone's taking pictures of you. Now I don't feel safe, because, wow, there was so many pictures. Like, once I step outside, there's photos of me being taken. So now I feel like nothing was safe. I can't trust anybody. You see how periodically she's taking all the heat, all the weight off of Ned in moments where people are going to start feeling emotions about him? I see what Ariel is doing. Trying to be the glue that holds it all together for a man who don't even necessarily deserve it. Now, do I think Ned deserves every inch of hate? Maybe not. Do I think he deserves to lose his liveliness? Maybe not, because at the end of the day, he still has children to take care of. Should he be held accountable? Yes. Should he hold himself accountable? Yes. And the thing that's making me like not like him is the fact that he's finding every type of out of holding himself accountable. Like, even in moments when Ariel is trying to make him not look bad, he's not saying like, no, say it for what it is, because I absolutely did wrong. Like, don't sit here and try to make me look good. I did bad. let me eat that. He's not doing that. He's like, yeah. And then insert some level of like an excuse or self-victimizing statement here. Like literally what he's doing. So now as I'm hearing Ariel tell her side of what she was feeling and the fright she felt and the disappointment and all this other stuff, Ned asked this question. And I'm just like, how you've been on podcasts before. You had your own podcast before. What are these questions that you are writing?
How did having it become such a public scandal kind of change everything for you? Did it make it worse? Did it make it easier? Did it just sort of make it surreal?
And what was the point of that question? I feel like that would have made everything else worse because she had to find out with the rest of the world that you was cheating on her. In what world would that have made it easier? Like, Ned, what is the logic here? And then also, why is this a question being asked to her as opposed to the reverse? I feel like these questions should be geared towards you because you're the one who committed the crime. Why are we not hearing more about your thought process? What was happening in your marriage where you felt comfortable in stepping out on your wife? What was your thought process through all of this? Did you really think you was going to get away with it? Did you think you wasn't going to get caught? And then at what point were you just being so public about it with her, with Alex, where you're touching and you're kissing and you're going on dates together publicly, knowing that there's people out there that know you because you've taken pictures with fans while you was on dates with Alex? What was going through your mind at that point? What was you feeling? These are questions that should be asked to you, but we're asking Ariel, why? And I have to keep asking this question. What does she have to answer for? There's nothing that she has to tell us. Like, sure, fans would like an update and knowing how she's doing. Because at this point, she's gaining full support. She has full support. But we really just want to know, why did you do this? What was the point? What was the plan? Is the point of your podcast called Rock Bottom talking to people who have hit rock bottom? Because realistically, you should be your own first guest. Like, this question that you asked her is not something people would want to know because it's very evident and very obvious that this was not easy for her. It was quite fucking embarrassing because you didn't even have the balls to be honest with her and tell her yourself that she was cheating. She had to find out through everybody else and then link with the person you're cheating with, link with their fiance and have to piece this all together. That's embarrassing and that sucks. And once again, as she's giving an answer, she's not directly saying how Ned made her feel. Instead, she's going back to the whole safety aspect of it. Because now she's talking about the day that we saw that video of them on TMZ and TMZ was like, whatever. She's actually telling us like they followed them both. And she started feeling uncomfortable because she noticed this car following them with a camera. And I think the biggest thing for her is that now that you done not only cheated on me, but you have compromised our safety because now everybody wants to know what the hell I'm feeling, what the hell I'm doing, what we're doing, our kids, this, that. They're following us to get these answers. This is what you did. So now continuing with her story of finding out about cheating, they was in the car together. I guess that she was coming to visit or whatever the case was. He was off doing something cool or something like that. And she was in the car with him. And she made a reference to this photo from the first photo that she got from the fan of him and Alex in New York. And she turned to him and she was like, yeah, what was Grace doing in New York? And Ned automatically had this guilty look on her face. And it was at that point where Ariel realized, oh, yeah, you did something wrong. You did me dirty. So Ariel's recounting the story. And as you can see, she's kind of like starting to kind of laugh at it like it's a joke. Like, yo, I can't believe like this really happened. Because I just remember in that moment, you had this guilty look on your face like you wanted to say something. And then I just told you, turn the car around. Like, don't you remember that? And then as you could see, the look on Ned's face of him having to hold himself accountable, he says, oh, no, I don't remember it necessarily like that. You asked me some follow-up questions. I answered them. And then that's that. And Ariel's like, yeah, so you really don't remember what happened like that? You don't remember me being upset? Okay. Like, you can see, like, this coy smile on her face because she knows that Ned is going to sit here and try to flip it. Ned was like, I answered those questions, and once you started piecing everything together and figuring out who it was, that's when you told me to take you home. And then Ned, once again, just looking kind of pitiful, and I actually don't even think he expected Ariel to take control of this conversation and flip it on him. he's given this whole like, yeah, like, oh my God, like I shouldn't have, like it's giving like, oh my God, like feel bad for me, like I messed up, I'm sorry. So now Ned kind of taps in and he starts kind of giving this reasoning about, well, not even reasoning, he starts explaining, I guess, his feelings or his thought process in the moment. Like he explains what goes into an affair like this. And I also want to point out, Ariel had no shame in saying, and no fear in saying, yeah, you're cheating, your affair. She's making it very clear, like, this is what you did. You cheated. You had an affair. Let's not call it a scandal. Let's call it for what it is. And Ned just don't want to do it. He just keeps calling it a scandal. But yeah, he's explaining the thought process that goes into having the affair. And this was also kind of like a weird interaction. Because in this moment, you can see that Ariel's like, that's all you got to say about this? Like, really?
Sort of delusions and rationalizations that you as the person doing that sort of are telling yourself as to why it's not so bad, or why it's going to be okay, or why actually this talks about it in this way. And then it's like, I remember that moment, it all just kind of like fell down, where I totally could see how devastated and just completely traumatized you were. And then it was just like, oh, everything changed for me as well. I'm like, oh no, this is like, I've been hurting this person that I love this whole time.
You didn't realize until then?
Well, you know, but then there's other things you tell yourself to kind of sort of compartmentalize, or I guess.
This is the face of someone who is hearing that he didn't necessarily feel bad during the cheating. The feelings started rushing to him when he got caught. Because it was in that moment when she was pissed off after finding out he was cheating that he was like, oh my God, I'm hurting the person that I love. And she's simply just not satisfied with his answer. He's not satisfied with the excuses behind the cheating. And yeah, you try to compartmentalize when you're in the affair and, like, yeah, I kind of knew that I was hurting you, but, you try not to think about it. These are things that's honestly going to piss her off again. And she just can only smile and nod. And then Ned continues and he goes on and he's like, it's kind of like this addictive cycle. Like, I wanted to tell you, but I just did it. And da-da-da-da. And then Ariel, she just kind of looks away. She's just like, oh my God, like, why am I even here? Like, you could tell, like, at this point, she's starting to feel extremely uncomfortable. Like, if she wasn't already uncomfortable, she's extremely uncomfortable in this moment. And he straight up asked her, like, oh, was this hard for you to hear? And she's like, no, not necessarily so. Like, no, this is not something that's making me feel uncomfortable right now. And she explains that over the last 3 years, she's spoken to women who have dealt with the same thing that she's going through. But then there's this moment where she explains that when she heard the things that he did, and he's telling her this, she said, I took on the guilt and the shame that you were feeling, which is crazy because you did this to me. Why do I feel guilty? Why do I feel shame? And then she furthers this thought process as she's struggling to put her words together. She furthers this and says, we're in a society where couples, married couples, whatever the case is, when the relationship goes wrong, it's reflected back on the woman of like, where did she go wrong? So when you're dumping all of this guilt and shame on me, now I have to understand and navigate life looking at it from everybody's going to look at me and say, well, was I not there for you? Was I just a bad wife? Was I doing something wrong? The man rarely gets scathed from this. And I kind of respect that she put it in this way because she's not telling a lie. She explains, like, it's so hard for a woman to recover after a man cheats because it's hard to come out from under well, what did you do? Why did you make him cheat? Why was he unhappy? Da, 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 da. That's the feeling that she was getting. And she even says that just in that period of when she's hearing all of this, she felt so much shame because the way society was going to look at her, she took that on for herself. That's what she means by saying, I took on the guilt and the shame. I'm taking on the way that society is going to view me. This is how I'm looking at myself, like, as of right now, which is crazy because you're the one that cheated. You're the one that did the crime. I'm a victim of what you did. And you can see she gets a bit emotional because that's something that was weighing on her for a very, very long time. She even says, like, I got tired. I'm tired of holding that in. I'm tired of feeling that feeling. Now she, once again, flips the question back on him. And when you think that he's about to take accountability, let's listen to what he says.
How does it make you feel to hear that? I mean, did it ever occur to you that, like, not only did you having an affair, just it shattered our marriage, but it also, like, all of that guilt and shame, you, like, hoisted that on me. Like, you gave that to me. Now I have to carry that around for the rest of my life.
I don't think it's fair that as a society you're put in that position. It's certainly not true. And no, it's not something that I imagined as I was doing that. I think none of it was. If you really, like, let it sink in just how much you're hurting your partner and how devastating it is, like, how could you do that?
This face was very valid to have after hearing that response. And also, I feel like we see another moment of Ariel wearing her emotion on her sleeve because she's looking at him. She's saying, you put that on me. You did the affair. You put that on me. You ruined our marriage. You did this. She's holding him accountable. And so she's like, and I feel like as I'm looking at her face, she's saying this and look at him dead in his eyes. And I feel like that's also a sore point for why she's so angry. She's like, why did you have to put all of this on me? And I didn't even do anything. Why would you destroy this thing that I built with? Why? You did this to me. You made me feel like this. How do you feel about that? And so she's giving him a moment to take accountability and be apologetic about it and face it head on. And that's not what the fuck he does. Instead, he turns around and says, well, it's unfair that society did this. And, like, granted, yes, she's talking about the aura that, or the stigma that comes with the cheated housewife thing. Cool. But in that moment, that's not what she's asking for from you. She's quite literally asking you, how do you feel that you did that? You tell me your personal feelings, realizing what the fuck you did to me, our marriage, everything. I don't give a fuck about society. I give a fuck about how you feel in regards to me. I'm not married to the society. You wasn't married to the society. You didn't my wife everybody with society. That was me you did that to. And then you ended off with this, like, rhetorical question of, well, like, yeah, you know, that's not something that you think about in the moment, but it's also just like, how could you? Tell us, Ned, how could you? What was your game plan? What was the goal? Now this is time for you to dive in and take accountability. And once again, you're not doing it. And how is this your podcast? And Ariel's the one holding the podcast down because you're asking stupid questions. You're giving stupid answers. We're getting the most from Ariel. And once again, I'm going to keep saying it. There's no reason for her to be speaking about anything. There's nothing for her to do. Really nothing for her to do. This really has to be about you. She should have been the one asking you the questions and you give these long answers and you be detailed about your feelings and your thought processes and all this other stuff. Why are we getting all of this information in detail from her? Like, you put her in this position to put all of that guilt and the stigma on her and you have nothing to say about that? Insane. Now, moving forward, we're seeing now Ariel just at a point where I feel like she's very fed up. She's exhausted of talking about this. And now she's just at a point where her defenses are down and we're seeing more emotion from her. She's recounting when they had nothing. And then, you know, they got married and they built this relationship. They had kids. You see her, like, getting emotional. Like, just even here, her face right here, you could tell, like, this really fucked her up on a whole other level. Like, almost to the point where she might not ever be the same person that she was before. And I think the worst part about this monologue and where we really see what is really fucking with her is now she's questioning if any of that was even real. Like, she's having this dialogue where she's saying, I thought we had this love that transcended over everything. Like, I thought this was something real and it was just a fantasy. She's calling their marriage and the love a fantasy. That is a sad realization for any woman to come to when it comes to being in this long-term relationship with someone. And you can see and feel the emotion through the screen as Ned is sitting there looking at her like she got 5 heads still. We're getting so much from Ariel. Once again, I don't feel like it's fair that she has to be the one to be this vulnerable and share as much detail about her feelings and her thought process as she is, especially in a space where she's only doing it to help her. I mean, they're not divorced. Her husband, that she don't really want to fucking help. She's still mad. She's still hurt. I hate this for her. And then at this point, she actually starts to cry. And that's significant because she was able to get through most of this podcast addressing all of this and addressing how she felt and addressing his cheating. And she was able to hold it together. But the second she's sitting here and reminiscing how long they've been together since they was 20. They didn't have anything. They built this empire. They have children together. That's making her emotional. And as you can see from the body language, she's really like thinking about like, damn, like we was really building this life together and you broke it down. And she starts crying. And then she catches herself and she wipes a tear and she's like, I don't even know why I'm crying. And even that alone is telling because she don't even want to cry about this no more. She's done with this. She's don't want to cry no more tears over this man. She don't want to cry about this situation anymore. She wants this to be done. And when she asks or when she says, I don't even know why I'm crying, Ned is going to sit here and say, oh, it's because of that, you know, that dream that we had is now gone. Ned, this is why I'm saying that he's so like not genuine. Like, are you listening to anything that she's saying? We know why she's crying. She's upset. Less about the dream, more the fact that like this woman was deeply in love with you and you betrayed not only her trust, but you betrayed the vows that y'all took together and you betrayed your family. That's a painful thing. And then she also tells you, on top of you cheating, now I'm dealing with, what did I do wrong? Why does society think it's me? I didn't do anything. Where did I go wrong? Now I feel shame. Now I feel guilt in our relationship. And you think it's just because, oh, well, the dream is gone. No, there's so many layers into why she's crying. This is a woman that's hurt. She is hurt to her core. And I felt so bad for her in this moment. And it's still even just getting me even more pissy because like you used your wife to build your brand and your reputation. You cheated on her just for you to turn around and use this woman again to rebuild your brand and reputation. That's sick work. And you have the galls to sit here and interview her about the way you did dirt to her. Instead of taking accountability, you're asking her how she felt as if we need to know. We already know. What the fuck are you thinking, Ned? And then when she's speaking, you're looking at her with such confusion and you're not taking accountability in moments where she's literally not even asking. She's looking at you, wanting you to take accountability publicly. You embarrass her publicly. If you apologize in private, you should be just as loud with the apology because you was loud about cheating on her. And he can't even do that. That's why this podcast, I feel like, is also adding on to why she's crying. Because it's like, and now I'm sitting up here trying to help you. And you're making me feel so much worse. Because not once are you taking accountability for anything. You're not even willing to say you had an affair or you cheated. You're just saying a scandal. Just don't understand what was the purpose of Ned doing this fucking podcast. What was the point? This is supposed to be for Ariel, but realistically, you're trying to use this to boost your platform. And even though this was a self-serving purpose, it is going to work out for Ariel at the end, because now that we've seen how batshit crazy you are, we feel more for Ariel and we want to make sure we support her. She already had the support. Even if you did this podcast by yourself, just when you talk, nothing's connecting with the people. Like nobody feels like there's an ounce of remorse in you. There's not this feeling of I fucked up, I need to take accountability. It's not you standing on business. We're watching Ariel in real time show more emotion than we have ever seen from her in all of the years that you have used her to build yourself up. So now we get to a point where he gives an apology.
The dream started to break apart for me, and then rather than being able to talk about it or to confront those feelings. I wanted to, I guess I was too afraid to say how I was actually feeling, and it seemed, I don't know, I chose to deal with it and deal with like feelings I was experiencing in a way that was really self-destructive and hurtful to you.
Mm.
And it wasn't like anything you did or like we had a bad marriage. It was about me and choices that I made and just actions that I took that I'll always regret. I'll always regret how much pain I caused you and other people, you know. And I'm deeply, deeply sorry. And I'll spend my whole rest of my life trying to make amends to you and to, you know, show up differently, to lead a life of integrity and to be a father that our children can learn from.
That smile at the very end was because that's all she wants from Ned at this point. Like, she is okay happily co-parenting. I think she's done pursuing any kind of relationship with him. All she really wants from this man at this point is to just be a good father to their kids. That's all she's asking for from him. That's all she needs from him. And now as we near the end of this podcast, she has a moment where she can now smile again. Because now that she got through the worst of it, she's talking about what she gained from this. Now she's happy that she doesn't have to hide anymore. She can go on dates and not worry about people talking about her. She can live her life shamelessly now. Like, she's like, now I don't have to worry about being out at dinner with you and the kids and feel this sense of shame or weirdness. I don't have to deal with any of that. She says she has a lot of gratitude and the fact that they got to a point now where they can be cordial and kind to each other and take care of their kids in the best way possible without it being uncomfortable. Ariel is really at this point where she can move on and be happy about this. Like, she has come to peace. Like, she's at peace at this moment. She's just glad that this is the last time that she's really going to ever have to talk about this. Of course, it's probably going to come up when she starts dating people, but now this is done. She doesn't have to be connected. This is her freeing herself from Ned. I do want to note there are definitely points toward the end of this podcast where I'm catching Ned once again trying to assert this. Maybe we still have a fighting chance. Maybe we can get back together. And Ariel makes sure to shut that down. Like, at one point he was like, oh, like maybe we can make new promises to each other. And he pauses. But I guess the look on her face made him double back and say, yeah, promises as friends, of course. And then she laughed. And then he's towards the end saying like, yeah, you know, like we can work on rebuilding. And she's like, I wouldn't say rebuilding. We're building a new path. Like, she's trying to make sure that there is no idea of him and her getting back together. She wants to make sure she puts that in the air. There is no me and you. There is no getting back together. The only proximity we will have to each other is in regards to our children. And once again, I'm proud of Ariel for standing her ground. Don't try to flip this. Like, it's already crazy enough that I'm doing this podcast talking about how dirty you did me. And you're sitting here talking about this like you was some third party. You's the one that hurt me. But now you're trying to throw in this idea of we can get back together. Like, don't even think about it. Because you're not going to try and use that as a video point or whatever the case is. Ain't no, this is it. Last time you're going to see me in relation to you. This is what I've been going through, y'all. This is how I felt. And now I'm at a place where I'm at peace. I'm comfortable talking about it. Do I want to talk about it all the time? No. But I'm ready to just move on with my life. And just even the fact that Ned is trying to throw in these little like spurts of maybe we can get back together or trying to put this like on a sticky note is kind of nasty because it's like, look at what you did to her. Yeah. Like, you rooted your whole career in being a husband to her and you ruined it. You destroyed your family. Like, how dare you even remotely think you deserve another chance with her? How dare you? Very self-serving once again. Like, Ned, you came on here trying to convince us that this podcast was for Ariel so she can move on. We could tell that she's already moved on. She's just still pissed at you years later. This was for you because you don't have a career. If Ariel is not around in some way, shape, or form. And the only way you could have got this podcast kicked off is by having her on the show, because the people wanted to hear from her just to make sure that she's okay. Even if she had nothing to say, or if she didn't want to talk about any of this, she would have been okay, and she would have had a successful career with or without you. You need her. She don't need you. And the fact that there are moments where you should have been taking accountability and you didn't, and you looked her in her face and didn't take accountability, knowing that she's purposely asking you these questions so you can take accountability, is actually mind-boggling and disgusting. You always have to paint yourself as a victim in some way, shape, or form. You sat this whole podcast talking about your cheating as if you was just someone who was in the shadows watching it happen. You did it. I wish we got more detail into your mindset about what was the pinpoint thing that made you be like, I don't want any part of this. This dream that we have is just not working for us anymore. I wish we could hear where was the moment of reflection where you realized, like, fuck, this is actually going to be an embarrassment to my kids. Fuck, I'm being a bad father by cheating on their mother. Fuck, I'm being a bad husband. Like, when did all of that click in for you? Because I really just don't want to believe it didn't click for you when you got busted. I'm really trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. I would have loved for you to dive into that moment of when you and Alex connected and you feel like that was a stronger connection you should have been exploring over continuing your relationship with your wife. You already have Ariel up here talking about this, and the moments that she's finding out who it is and all this other stuff. That could have been the perfect time for you to come out and be detailed with the fact of, like, what was the affair like, and how was you keeping these secrets, and whatever, what was the behind the scenes effort that was taking place for not only your wife but your cheating partner's fiance. What was the plan that y'all two was having, the conversations y'all was having to make sure that this was kept under wraps? When did y'all decide to be more public about it? That's what we should have got out of this podcast. We should have heard more from you. And if anything, if Ariel was going to be here, she should have been the one asking you the hard questions that you need to answer. Like, it's really crazy that she's sitting here saying, how do you feel knowing that you made me feel like this? And you're like, well, I'm sorry society made you feel that way. What the fuck is wrong? Are you crazy? I'm glad to know that Ariel has come to terms with everything that's happened. I'm glad that she's using this as a stepping stone to really be done with the fucking relationship and being connected to this man. Because I think coming off of this, stemming from this, Ariel is now going to fly high, being her own self. Like, I can even see herself changing her name back to her maiden name. Like, take Fulmer off her shit. This was the nail in the coffin, because she's not letting anybody or any door even remotely crack open to this idea of her getting back with this man. She is done. You see it, you feel it, and it's been that way for 3 years. And that's why I'm so disgusted that he's even sitting here talking about, oh, well, we're rebuilding, or maybe we can make new promises. Like, no, bitch, we can't. The only promise you need to keep right now is to be a good fucking father to our children. As far as I see it, Ned, the only recovery you're going to have on this fucking podcast, or with this podcast, or you're coming back, is if you have Alex on this fucking show. Or we could get you, Alex, her fiance, and Ariel all on the same fucking shit, and y'all really just shoot the shits and tell the fucking truth. I want to see Ariel address Alex. I want to see Alex's fiance address you. Let's talk this shit out, because what the fuck? Like, Ned, this podcast really didn't help your image whatsoever, and I don't think this was a good way for you to come back to the internet. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really not gonna lie. Good luck to whatever you're going to plan in the future. I kind of feel like your road as a content creator comes to an end, because if you felt like you had to hide from the world because you fucked up your reputation by getting caught on this cheating shit, now you really fucked it up, because now you're going to be known as the guy who was upset that he got caught in a cheating scandal and refuses to take accountability when he brings his wife onto the show to have her talk about how he traumatized her. You are a Yale University graduate. You better come up with a plan B. But let me know what you think down in the comments about this whole podcast if you watched it. Do you forgive Ned? Not that it's for us to forgive, but how do you feel about him making a return to the internet? Do you think this is a good redemption? Do you think this was a good start? Do you feel like he was sincere in his apology? Like, what do you feel? What was your analysis of this podcast? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Make sure you follow and subscribe and, follow all of my other social medias. And I will catch y'all in my next video. Bye.